Welcome to the Exam Room Podcast, brought to you by the Physicians Committee. Hi, I'm the weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll. Thanks so very much for watching and downloading in more than 150 countries around the world and making the Exam Room one of the most consumed nutrition podcasts anywhere on the planet today. And we are continuing to get you going in the right direction for the new year. We just talked about, well, how do I lose weight? Well, the next question is, how many calories should I eat? For that, we welcome back the author of The Power Foods Diet, our friend and yours, Dr. Neal Barnard. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you, Chuck. Great to be with you.
2025 is off to a rousing start. I feel like we covered a lot of ground last episode, but we kind of had this cliffhanger where it's like, how many calories should I eat? Now, just like with the diets out there, Dr. Barnard, there are 18 billion different diets on the market, and it seems like there are 18 billion different opinions on how many calories a person should be eating. Is there a one size fits all? Is it that 2,000 calorie per day limit that we hear so much about?
2,000 calories is a really good round number. That's the number of calories that a typical, say, American adult is going to consume. That said, no, there is not a one size fits all because it depends on a lot of other factors. First of all, what am I taking calories for? We don't think about these things, but your body is sort of like a car engine, just sort of rumbling along, idling, to keep up your body temperature, to keep your liver and your brain and your heart and your other organs working. You need a certain number of calories, and that's a big chunk of calories in the course of the day. That's your resting metabolism.
Yeah.
Then you eat a meal, and your body is going to say, oh, you took in all this food. I got to do something with it. And the process of digestion is maybe 10% of your daily calories, just pulling those nutrients out and storing them and so forth. And then you got the other thing, the big unknown, which is your physical activity. Routine physical activity consumes some calories, not a lot. But no, I got a gym membership. It's January. So you're starting to expend more calories. And that's there, the sky's the limit. And so you could be a typical American adult consuming maybe 1,800, 2,000 calories a day. You could be an Olympic athlete consuming 5,000. It's entirely up to you.
All right. Well, let's put the Olympic athletes to the side. They're kind of in the exception, not the majority kind of class there. But I am 5'5", $140. Let's say that there's somebody else who's 6'6", 250. By that in itself, again, taking exercise out of the equation, the taller, bigger person is probably going to need to consume more, correct?
Yes, the taller they are, yes. And if you've gained weight, more as well. Because let's say you've gained weight, it's not all body fat that a person is accumulating is not just an inert bag of calories. It's got supporting tissues along with it. That all needs blood supply. It's metabolizing as well. So people who are bigger, whether they're taller, whether they have greater body weight, are burning a lot more calories than somebody who is shorter or smaller.
All right, let's talk about how then we can calculate what our daily intake might be. Say somebody wants to maintain their weight, not just weight loss right now, but just maintain. All right. How would they go about figuring out exactly how many calories they should be consuming in a day?
To tell the truth, Chuck, I don't think they should. I think they should not do it in the same way as I need oxygen. In fact, I need oxygen every minute. How much do I need? I never thought about that. Oh my goodness sakes. How much oxygen do I need to pull out of it? Calories are the same way. We have the ability to know when we're not getting enough oxygen. We call it desperation. You know, if you hold your breath, your body will respond automatically by breathing in more. If you're at a higher elevation, you'll breathe more because your body is carefully checking your blood oxygen level. And your brain, the hypothalamus, and other parts of the brain are all monitoring your nutritional status in many, many ways. And so if your body senses we're losing weight, it says, ramp up your appetite a little bit. Now that can work against us because our bodies sometimes say, well, I'm getting too thin. This is dangerous. I need to eat more. Fair enough. That's good. That's your body looking out for you. But also your body does the same thing when you're really heavy. Your body is kind of greedy. It says, I can use this body fat someday. I don't want to lose it. Let me hang on to it. And so if you're losing body fat, your body will react by in many cases by trying to eat more to counteract that. Now, this is not always a problem. We have seen when we do a qualitative diet shift, I'm not cutting your amount. I'm changing the type of food you eat.
Right.
If you go to a high fiber diet, a low fat diet, your body doesn't completely compensate. You'll lose weight and you'll tend to feel satisfied even while you're losing weight.
All right. Is there, I think that we're neurotic though about calories, and I agree with you. I mean, we're not walking around with a breathometer that says that you're breathing, 600 times every hour, whatever the
Right.
case may be. That's obnoxious. But we are that way very much with calories. How should we go about kind of breaking that cycle and like cutting the string, especially if we do what we talked about in the last episode and what you just mentioned, that qualitative shift of the diet? How do we kind of break ourselves free of that chronic calorie checking that we just seem so prone to do?
I think we really don't need to do it at all. I'll give you another analogy. You'll see so many people say you need 8 glasses of water per day. 8-ounce glasses. That's 64 ounces of water every day. And then so people would monitor this and they would count. And after about a half a day, this gets really tedious.
Mm-hmm.
And then we discovered you don't need 8 glasses of water a day. You don't even need one. If you're getting water from some source, it's in your morning oatmeal. It's in fruit. There's water in foods. You need 64 ounces of fluid coming into you, but it doesn't have to be as water, or it just has to come in. So doctors will say, look, is your urine overly concentrated? And other things. They won't say how many glasses of water did you have per day, because that doesn't take into account water that came in from other foods and so forth. With regard to calories, it's the same thing. If you look on the scale today compared to yesterday, exact same before you've had any food, no clothes on, whatever. If you're losing weight, then your caloric intake is obviously the cause of that,
Right.
in one or another. It's not magic. Somehow you've been taking in fewer calories, except for the fact there's some modification from day to day with water weight, which can be significant, how much water's in your circulating in your blood or whatever. But you'll see the trend. If you are gaining weight, somehow you have taken in more calories. If you're gaining weight and holding on to it.
So is it the calories or is it the fat when it comes to weight loss? Which is more important? That seems to be one of those proverbial questions that gets debated time and time and time again.
Yeah, well, it is, but it's the same issue. Calories matter from whatever source they are, but fat has far more calories than anything else by far. So that's why we focus on the fat content, and we don't really worry that much about the calories.
And one of the things I'd love to show people is the chart. And I know for a fact you've seen it, of what 500 calories in the stomach looks like. And this is a great plus for a plant-based diet where you see 500 calories of oil. I mean, what, maybe enough to coat the thumb here.
Right.
Cheese, you're not going to get much more. Meat, you get a little bit more, but then you get into the whole grains, the legumes, beans, and then the fruits and the vegetables. And it's the whole stomach is filled up at that point. And I think that if you're eating to the point where you're full, right, and you're no longer hungry, and it's a nice nutrient but not calorically dense meal, you're good to go. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
And there's 2 reasons. One is that these plant foods are high in fiber, which has virtually no calories at all, or very few. And carbohydrate, although it's maligned all the time, carbohydrate has all of 4 calories per gram. In fact, if you ate pure sugar, which is a refined carbohydrate, it has only 4 calories in a gram. A gram of any fat has 9 calories. So you can fill your stomach up with fatty foods. When you do, you have taken in a truckload of calories, and you're going to see it on the scale.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the person who has lost a lot of weight and then they just hit this plateau. Should they then start looking a little bit more closely at what it is they're eating and going back to counting calories to see where they're at?
Very common scenario. A person has made a qualitative shift in their diet, and they, vegan, low fat, whatever it might be, and they're losing weight, but then it'll sort of stall as time goes on. Now, it's kind of like the stock market in my view. In other words, it's not just a consistent change. It's little ups and downs. So if you've had a week and you didn't lose any weight this week, despite your best efforts, I wouldn't worry about that. But if it's 2 weeks in a row, then if you're really doing what you think would help and you haven't lost weight 2 weeks in a row, it's not working. And the reason I say that is there are many people who say, well, I'm losing inches or I feel better. I mean, that's good, but if your goal is weight loss and it's not happening, let's look at the issues. So I've got 8 steps
Talk to me.
I got 8 steps that I jump in on. The first one is, do you actually need to lose weight? This is really important. For many people, they think, I need to lose weight because I've been losing weight. It feels good to lose weight. We sometimes take our cues from people around us. If they are thinner than us, we feel overweight. If they're heavier than us, we feel too skinny. Sometimes people around us will not help. They'll say, you're losing too much weight. And that's because everybody they know is overweight. And you may be overweight, but they'll still tell you that. Check your BMI, body mass index. It gets some bad press sometimes because it's only a rough guide, but a rough guide is okay for now. Go on a search engine, type in BMI calculator, and you'll see one from the CDC or other places. All you do is you plug in your height and your weight, and it'll tell you what your BMI is. If your BMI is between 18.5 and 25, you're in a healthy range. So if you're in that zone and you're thinking, gee, I'd like to lose more weight, there is no health reason for you to be losing weight. You're there. Okay, so that's first thing. Check your BMI. But let's say you're higher than you want to be, which many people still are going to be. Let's do a couple other things. Number one, go vegan if you're not vegan already. So many people say, well, yeah, I'm vegan except for weekends or except for salmon or except for cheese, all those things. Those are going to really hold you back in 2 ways. Any animal product has 0 fiber.
Yeah.
So your appetite is not as well controlled. Secondly, it's got animal fat in it, and it may be good fat. Chinook salmon is 52% good fat. I mean,
it's a nice voice. I mean, that's a nice announcement. Good fat. That was a way to sell it, man. Except don't eat it.
It is going to fatten you up just like any other. So do go vegan if you're not vegan already. Number 3, do a search and destroy for added fats. And that can be oils that you use in cooking. It can be nuts, seeds, avocado. Those are really the principal things. 9 calories in every gram, no matter what kind of fat it is. And really do a search and destroy. Now, you might say, you mean for the rest of my life, I'm never going to eat an almond again. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is right now, you are trying to lose weight. Or you're trying to get your diabetes under better control. Getting fat out of your diet helps there too, because getting fat out of your diet will cut insulin resistance, which is a really good thing. So do a search and destroy mission for fatty foods. How do I do it? Write down everything you ate for 2 days and just look. Did you use oil in cooking? Did you have a little bit of nuts here and there? Did you have avocado toast that morning? And there, I would just set them aside for now. The big issues aren't so much when we're cooking for ourselves. The big issue is when somebody else made that pizza, the vegan pizza, but it's a frozen product and it's got how much added fat in it, or the restaurateur who's absolutely in love with their bottle of olive oil and they can't help but put it all over your salad, your pasta, or they saute the spinach and, it's like 1040 motor oil. What is this? Stop it. Every gram has 9 calories in it. So that's the real issue. And by the way, there's a rule that we use, a rule of thumb. When a person is on a low-fat vegan diet, they would soon discover that vegan is easy. That's the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part is avoiding the added fat.
Mm-hmm.
And my rule of thumb is if you're picking up a food out of the produce aisle, an apple, an orange, it doesn't have a label. It's low fat, virtually everything there. But a packaged food, a frozen dinner, that's got a food label, and look at it, because the manufacturer threw in oil thinking it would taste better. And if it has more than about 3 grams of fat per serving, put it back.
Gotcha.
Now that's tough. And by the way, that's not 3 grams per meal. It's 3 grams per serving. So you might have an appetizer, you might have a soup. You might make a sandwich with 2 or 3 ingredients, each part of it, no more than 3 grams. It's kind of a rough rule, but that gets you to about 30 grams per day, and that you're going to lose weight.
Gotcha.
If you do that. Okay, number 4, go high fiber. And yes, high fiber is good for the fact it has virtually no calories, but it's good for something else. Why are people injecting Wegovy or Ozempic? Yes, it does reduce your appetite, but it also slows gastric emptying. Your stomach just doesn't empty out so fast.
Right.
So it's getting to the next mealtime, and the person who's injected Wegovy says, I'm just not hungry. Okay. Fiber does exactly the same thing. And researchers in Italy did a cool study. They brought in individuals and they gave them either a very low fiber diet, all refined foods, or a high fiber meal, natural foods, a lot of vegetables and whole grains and that kind of thing. And what they discovered is that the low fiber meal will eventually empty out of your stomach after about 3 hours. But if it's a high fiber meal, the digestive process takes its time. You got about another hour of really not feeling so hungry. Now, once the fiber gets out of your stomach, it goes down into the small and large intestine, and there it moves along. So it gets rid of constipation, which is great. But it does delay stomach emptying, which helps people to lose weight a little bit. Number 5, power foods. We talked about this. There are certain foods that researchers have identified that, absolutely contrary to what you'd think, the more you eat them, the more weight you lose. And this is a big Harvard study, 100,000 people. They tracked their weight for years, and they tracked their diets. And if you ate more berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, any kind, more cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, green vegetables like asparagus or spinach, melon, cantaloupe, watermelon, citrus fruits, or beans, granddaddy of all of them. If you ate more of those foods, just pack them in, go to the store, buy them, make sure they're in your house. People lose more weight as a result of that. Why? 2 reasons. One is that some of these foods ramp up your metabolism a little bit, but they all tend to reduce appetite as well.
Nice.
So 3 others real quick.
Give them to me.
Number 6, addictions are real. Addictions are real.
Amen.
And we used to get this idea that a certain person has food addictions. A person who had a rough childhood, or they're under stress, or da-da. Let me tell you something. Everybody has food addictions. Everybody has food addictions. And what happened was you couldn't get addicted to, well, going back in time, you couldn't get addicted to alcohol until people figured out how to ferment grapes. Yep. Technology brings in addictive substances. So you couldn't get addicted to cheese until people figured out how to make cows stand still. That was 7,000, 8,000 years ago. And in some places, never. Japan, China are just now discovering dairy products. So sugar, for example, to be a sugar addict, you had to take sugar cane, send it to a factory, extract that sugar. That just didn't happen until relatively recently. So these are artificial things to which absolutely anyone can and will get addicted. I don't care who you are. If I give you a cigarette, you're going to become nicotine addicted. If I give you a cup of coffee every morning, you're going to be addicted to caffeine. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I'm saying your body chemistry is no different from anybody else. And there are companies out there. There are, as you know, fast food restaurants. There are manufacturers. There are people who are trying to figure out what is the exact combination of cocoa butter and sugar that will make my chocolate bar absolutely irresistible. And we like to think, well, I got willpower. You are no match. You are no match for dozens of scientists and marketers who are trying to lure you in and shake the money out of your pockets. So anyway, recognize the addiction. That's the first thing. For some people, it's not so bad. For others, it's a big deal. But if there is some food you love and it does not love you back, set up a wall and say, I'm just not going there for right now. Don't say these words. Don't say, I'm never, ever going to have another, or I'm a bad person. Forget all that. Just not now. I'm not going to have this now. Put up a wall and don't break that wall. If you do break it, dust yourself off and rebuild that wall. And you're going to be glad, because what happens is over time, you forget it. The alcoholic forgets the drink. The smoker forgets the cigarettes. It's not completely gone, and you can rekindle it if you have a slip. But just recognize the addictions. And you can be addicted to cheese. You're going to be addicted to fat sugar mixtures. What do I mean? Nobody took a box of Domino sugar in a spoon and ate that. People say they're a sugar addict. Nobody ever did that. What you're addicted to, we call it sugar, but it's a cookie. Look at the cookie. The cookie is half sugar, half fat.
Yep.
And it's the fatty sugar combinations that are more addicting than sugar itself. Fatty, salty combinations, potato chips, onion rings, more addictive than fat itself. Nobody took a bag of suet and ate it. You want the sickening, isn't it?
Yep.
You want the salty, fatty mixture or the sugary, fatty mixture. That's what makes an addiction. Chocolate is its whole other thing, because it's not only a fatty, sugary mixture, but it also has added or natural chemicals from the chocolate that are addictive. Okay, two more real quick. Shift your calories early in the day.
Hold on, man. Let's just cool you off there, man. You were on fire, man. That was great. It's like, can I get an amen? Church is in session right now. Holy smokes. Really quick before we get to 7 and 8, I will say that I think that it terrified me, the idea of never being able to eat one of my favorite things again.
Right.
Like, I was very proud of the fact that I'm never going to go back to the drive-thru. Great. I still haven't 15 years later. But at the time, that was a really hard idea for me to wrap my head around. What I have found in terms of now eating in a healthier way is, even though I'm no longer going to Taco Bell every single day, I can still eat a burrito. And it tastes great. It tastes 20 times better than anything I used to get back at Taco Bell. You can still enjoy your favorite foods. You just make them using different ingredients, healthier ingredients. And that's a beautiful thing. So when you think about abstaining, I think when it comes to the mind of a food addict and somebody who needs to lose a lot of weight, just the idea that it doesn't mean you will never eat that stuff again. You can eat it tomorrow. Just a healthier version of it makes it so much more palatable and less terrifying.
And sometimes the nutritional differences are really rather modest. If you're making a healthy version of a burrito, it's got a lower fat content.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the cheese and so forth in it, so it doesn't have cholesterol. It's probably higher in fiber. But within about 21 days, your taste buds adjust to what you have been consuming. So if you're having a healthier version of it, it might seem kind of light the first day. The second day, you'll like it better, and eventually you will come to prefer that version, because for the past 21 days, that's what your taste buds have been doing. And then if you go back and you have the old greasy version, the first day you'll think, this is terrible. But unfortunately, if you go back the next day, you will relearn that, and you'll get right back there.
I bet. All right, number 7.
Number 7, eat early. Put your calories. Let's say you're eating 2,000 calories a day. Put them early in the day. For whatever reason, when people eat a big breakfast, modest or moderate lunch, and a small dinner or maybe even no dinner, they lose weight and their glucose, blood sugar, gets under better control than if you put the calories toward the evening.
Yeah.
And lastly, I never would have said this before, but I'm going to say it now, which is exercise really can affect your weight in a couple ways. And the reason I used to say no is there were a lot of people making a pitch for buy this exercise equipment and you're going to lose weight, or just go out for a run or a walk and you're going to lose weight. And the results have been disappointing. People don't lose a lot of weight. But what we have seen is that when people really do dig into it in a big way, if they exercise a little bit more, with a little bit more vigor or a little bit longer time, you can see significant weight loss. The other thing about it, when you're jogging, you can't carry a bowl of ice cream with you. So, it's a form of cheap entertainment that's not going to hurt you. And it also kind of makes you feel your body and you feel better. And when you feel better, then it makes the resolve easier to hold on to. Also, think short term. Don't torture yourself with, I will always have to exercise. I always have to. Forget always. We're living right now. So for this week, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Or this day, whatever it may be. And then leave those other discussions for later.
Yeah. Those are great. And we've got the that breakthrough 8 as I'll call them down below for everybody in case they want to play along here as they take charge of their health here in this new year. So let's kind of wrap up with this. And that is, we began by pondering the question, how many calories should I eat? And I think that it's appropriate that we say there's no definitive answer here. There's no one size fits all. That 2,000 calorie thing, that's a nice round number, but it's not for everybody. So how many calories should I eat, Dr. Barnard?
However many your body needs to do what it's doing. If you're a smallish person, if you are sedentary, you need fewer calories. If you're bigger and you're more active, you need more calories. Your body will tell you.
There it is. Dr. Neal Barnard. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Chuck.